Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Houston Trong from thetradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for August the 12th to the 16th, 2019. And happy to be back from vacation. So it was off in Playa del Carmen for the past week. Unfortunately, got a really bad case of food poisoning, so didn't get a chance to enjoy my trip as much as I wanted to, but very happy to be home and in good health. So it was quite the eventful week this past week, and I was off, so didn't get a chance to trade much of it. But let's talk about the week that was, because a lot of stuff that we talked about the week prior did come to pass. And let's talk about the week coming up, as there's still a lot of risk out there. So just for the econ news, there is a number of important news items to watch out for. On Tuesday, we have the CPI at 8:30. Wednesday, there is the oil number, which will be interesting. And on Thursday, there's a lot of news events. So jobless claims, including retail sales at 8:30. And those are all things that could be potentially market movers. The bigger things will, of course, be the earnings, because we still have a lot of big names reporting this coming week. Monday is a bit slow, but then picks up on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A lot of marijuana stocks reporting this week, so that'll be interesting to watch. Names like Tilray on Tuesday, CGC on Wednesday. And on Thursday, the big names are going to be Baba and Nvidia, so and Walmart, of course. So keep those on your watch list. So let's get into the charts for the past week, and let's examine where things can go from here, because it has certainly been a lot more volatile this past month, right? So as we entered into the month of August, I had been warning of the tendency for stocks to change their course, not just stocks, but the instruments themselves, anything that trades for that matter, to potentially change course as we enter into a new month. Particularly because that one week there where things shifted around, we had a combination of major earnings. Apple was a notable name, and there was the new month, and there was the FOMC meeting. And then the backdrop of that would be, of course, the ongoing trade negotiations. So all that was the kind of the catalyst, or the potential catalyst for things to shift. And of course, the shift they did. So let's talk about VIX, as we always start from here. So VIX, you don't see this on the monthly chart on the VXX product, but I did make mention of it in an intra-week post on the blog, is that with the VIX product here, we actually went inside bar reversal to the upside. You see that on this chart. What you don't see is in the after hours, this high here actually took out that high there. So this high here is 31.41, and it actually took out that pivot high in the after hours. So this is actually a completed formation here, in the sense that it took out that pivot, and those folks who put stops under there, they all got shaken out. So to really see this clearly, let's look at the VIX futures contract, because that's where a lot of the action is, and you'll see it there quite plainly now when you see that futures contract, which trades, of course, 24/7 or close to 24/7. Because it is a futures contract. So you can see what happened there. We had the inside bar reversal, right? So inside bar and down, then reversed back to the upside, took out any shorts that try to buy this break down, and took out that pivot high. Not only did it do that, but it took out this pivot high as well. So May's pivot high, it took that out as well, and it's come back in again now. But this broadening formation that I had drawn, weeks ago, it's still holding. So right now it did get a little bit toppy there, so the seller stepped in, it pushed it back down again. But the VIX now at elevated levels. It really began with a few things, right? So here, the inside bar reversal, that level there. Okay, so I'll just draw it in to show you. This level here, I'm just going to change the color. I don't need that to be green. Let's put this in blue. And I want this to show up across a number of time frames. So there we go. So you see this here, the 1650 level on the monthly, it's right there on the weekly. What do you see in the weekly? This pattern here. Outside, outside. So the two bars there, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside. So there's your break, right? So here's your outside, inside pattern on the weekly, which causes the break to the upside, which triggers the monthly inside bar reversal. Then it's full time frame alignment to the upside, taking out all these pivots, including that pivot high there, which was the May high I just spoke about already. So that's the significance of that move there this past 2 weeks. Okay, so now what do we have with the VIX? Well, you'll see the same thing on the VXX ETN product, but you see the same thing here with the VIX futures contract, is that now the daily and the 2-day, we have this situation. The 2-day is a inside pattern. So consolidating. Yes, it pulled back, but right now it's a consolidation pattern. This consolidation pattern will fail if it breaks below here, right? So if it goes inside bar and down, and then that's going to be a failed inside bar reversal pattern, or inside bar break to the upside. Right now on the daily chart, this is a potential inside bar reversal pattern. So I want to take out these former blue lines here because those have already transpired. But now what you want to be looking for is this situation. There's a break above this high here on Monday. Okay, so it is a crack 1925 on the VIX futures contract, because if it does, we're going back up, because that's an inside bar reversal back to the upside again. Inside bar down, right? Pausing here, sellers, buyers now in equilibrium, and if we can break above highs, that means the buyers are getting more aggressive again, breaking the equilibrium and taking it back to the upside. Then this pivot high would be the next point, and then that would be the next point. So how do we resolve this consolidation right there? Oh, excuse me, I don't want that one. This consolidation right there on Monday. That's what you want to be watching for. Okay, so same thing on the VIX contract, VXX contract, excuse me, the ETN product on Monday. Not quite an inside bar reversal, but a very, very similar type of pattern. So right there. Outside bar and down on the VXX. Okay, as soon as it breaks above here, 27.41, if it can stay above there now, we're going back to those pivot highs. Now notice here what this line is in the sand there on the daily chart. That purple line there, I'll disable this pop-up there. This purple line here is your weekly open. So look what happened with the VIX this past week. Gaps up, goes red in the day, goes outside bar, and then down. So it looks like the buyers had control. The buyers of equities were back in control again, right? But if the buyers of the VIX, or volatility buyers, can once again step up, take up that pivot high, we're coming back up into that range here, because that will then, you know, this weekly open here acted as resistance this week. But depending where we open next week, right, this could shift everything, because if we open up here, wherever it opens up, and price then trades above it, trades above that, then we're going to be above the monthly open, above the quarterly open, and then we'll be full time frame alignment back to the upside for above that weekly open. So continue to watch for more heightened volatility. Now the SPY, as all the other indices, looked very bad on Monday, but buyers did buy it back. But now we're kind of in a mixed time frame alignment situation this past week. Now next week, depending on where the price trades in relation to the weekly open, that could certainly change. But for 3 sessions, right, so here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the daily chart there, we were trading below the weekly opens. That was full time frame alignment to the downside. This 200-day moving average is holding right now for the SPY. So on the monthly chart, starting from there first, here's the situation though, and this is what I posted intra week this past week, is you're outside and up, now you're down. Okay, so outside and up, now coming back down through the range, that low being the potential low that's going to get taken out as a pivot. That's what you want to be watching for if you're a seller. That's a pivot you want to be aiming for at the very least. But now the buyers need to defend, and the sellers have to step up. So it was a gap down on Monday, but they bought it back for most of the week. Friday ran out of steam, but it still remained as an inside day, not only in the daily, but on the 2-day chart, that's also an inside day, right? So there, or inside bar, not inside day, it's a two-day bar. So there's your inside bar, and so this, you know, the last 2 days of the week are just basically inside that huge range in the prior 2 days. So now what you end up with is a green week, so below the monthly and below the monthly and quarterly open, but above the weekly open. So you're getting this kind of sandwich here, and which we know in the past, when you get this little sandwich, you have a little bit of choppiness because there's no alignment there. So watch for it again. How does it resolve? Does it break below? And if it's the same thing as we talked about in the VIX, if it breaks below this low here, it possibly goes outside and up. That's momentum, right? Outside up, it has to keep going. So just like what happened here, right? So outside and down, 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 down. As soon as this high gets taken out, it's come back up again. That's what you can expect now to the downside if one of these lows gets taken out. See, so anytime you have this outside bar, it's significant because it's momentum, it's aggressive. People are getting lured in because they're chasing. They have urgency to get into the move because they think they're missing out, but it causes people to chase and get poor price. price location. So if this low gets taken out, all these late buyers they're gonna come after them, and that's gonna potentially take it back down through here again if one of these lows gets taken out. Otherwise, they keep pushing it higher, right? That's certainly a possibility as well. We want to be watching for both those scenarios. So right now, the buyers in the short term are in control. Okay, so outside bar up, momentum there. But as soon as a low gets taken out, watch out, because you're still below that quarterly, monthly open right there. So until you clear those levels, you need to watch out. So same thing on the Qs, exact same condition. So, okay, red month, but green week, right? Trading below the quarterly, monthly open, but above the weekly open. Exact same pattern. Outside and up, inside bar. Watch how we resolve on Monday this scenario here. Okay, does it go inside bar up or inside bar down, and then potentially come back down to the range with full time frame alignment. Russell, same thing, but a little bit uglier. Okay, so here's the thing with the Russell. With the Russell, there's one more scenario in play. So here, it went inside bar and up in July. August now, it's turning out to be quite ugly, and it went inside bar reversal, right? So now you expect this low to get taken out as a pivot. On the monthly chart, to add to that scenario, you actually have a potential inside bar reversal setting up on the quarterly chart. So now, if this low gets taken out here, okay, so that low there, if that low gets taken out, then you can go inside bar reversal to the downside and actually put Q1's lows in play. So that would be the worst case scenario for not the worst case, but that is definitely a negative scenario that's potentially possible for the Russell. So you'd watch out for that scenario if it comes ripping back down. So if this monthly chart keeps going, okay, and we take out this pivot low, then it's going to keep going and take out this low down here. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about coming back through the range again, because you can see it's pretty tight stuff in here, and it's possible now that if they completely give it up for it to come back through the range. There is momentum to the downside for now. Outside bar and down the weekly, right? So you want to see if buyers are going to step up, they have to take out last week's highs. If they can do that, that changes the whole landscape once again, because then the sellers who had momentum, they've lost it, right? And there's a possible for you can get a multi-week rally back to the upside again. We'll wait and see for that. But for now, just like the Dow, just like the SPY and the Qs, same scenario: outside bar and up, inside bar here. So all the charts pretty much look the same. Watch out for how this inside bar resolves one way or the other. Dow, a little slightly different, but kind of the same scenarios. Outside bar up, come back down to the range. Watch out for June's lows now in play. But here is this is the only difference with the Dow, is that it did not make an inside day on Friday. It actually broke a little bit higher. So buyers are a little bit stronger on the Dow. But same scenario applies. If this low gets taken out, the momentum buyers to the upside have lost control. So watch out that it doesn't tip back down and come back down again. Because if you're traditional, moving average kind of guy or gal, then this just basically looks like a pullback, right? So you just, take a step back and look at it. Big impulse move down, pops back up, hits a moving average. Okay, so there's your moving average. The 8 is the blue one there. Okay, so you went deep into the Bollinger Bands, hit the 200-day, and then has popped back up, and now hitting your 8 period here. So that's your 8, the green's your 20, and there's your 50 right there. So a lot of moving averages now above you as potential resistance. So watch out, because a lot of people are using those moving averages and potentially using that as areas that they will try to sell. So the buyers have their work cut out. Not saying it's not possible, but they do have to cut through these levels. Quite a few of them, 8 period, not significant, but there's your 50, 20, and then that's, for me, is the line in the sand, the quarterly, monthly open right there. How do you negotiate that? Okay. So now that's the Dow. Let's talk about the TSX, which is had a green week still. Let's take a quick look here. Up 0.43%, which is not bad considering on Monday it was quite a steep pullback. But they bought it back quite quickly now, and the TSX is right back in the range again. It's a very, very tight trading in TSX, and you can tell it's going to be this way because of the following. Now, monthly chart, red. So red month so far. Here's the issue with the TSX, and I've been watching it for a while. We've been reporting it for a while. These Bollinger Bands are really tight. Okay, so look how tight these Bollinger Bands are on the weekly. Now, look what happened. When you have this type of tightening, when you hit a bottom here, it has to keep going, because if it doesn't keep going, it's going to bounce. And that's exactly what happened, because when you have a flattening bottom, a tightening Bollinger Band like that, then these things act as levels of support or resistance. So now you can expect this thing to come back to the other side and touch the other side of the Bollinger Band, which will not take much. So right now, it was a green week, but still trading below the the monthly and quarterly open. So very, very tight stuff here now. Not that compelling to be trading it, honestly. Really not that excited to trade the TSX here. But you're hitting these levels again, like we had with the equities, U.S. equities. The monthly open, the quarterly open, and those moving averages. So how do you cut through that? Now on the 4-hour chart, you can see the bounce. So this is it here, right? So down here is your Bollinger Band on the weekly. It gets deep into the Bollinger Bands, pops back up again, and it's right here on the 4-hour chart. This is what it looks like. Okay, so it goes deep into the weekly lows, right? And then it goes, this is Monday, right? So it gaps down big, goes down 1.25 to 1.28%. The buyers step back up the next 4 hours and create an inside bar, thereby alleviating the downside action. And then it goes inside bar and up, and then went up. Finally lost control there on Friday, but all they did was outside inside, right at that monthly open. See the orange line? So the orange line acted as support there. They broke below it, outside, inside. Now how does it resolve the outside inside pattern here on the 4-hour? Back to the downside, or they pop it back up again? That's what you want to be watching for on the short term if you trade the TSX. Now let's talk about emerging markets, because we had that nice short going back, a couple weeks now. We put it on more than a couple weeks ago, but took it off this past week when it finally took out the levels that we were looking for. So, we had a lot of things going for it. Now I'm not going to go review that trade. That it worked out successfully, but where do we go from here? So inside bar and up on the monthly, went inside bar reversal to the downside, took out the major pivots on EEM. So inside bar reversal. The week did end green though, right? So here's the thing. It's going right down into those Bollinger Band lows. The difference is it's not flat. So this thing here, if it pops up, then yes, something could happen there for them to buy it back again. But right now, you're sandwiched once again, just like the equities, between monthly, quarterly open and the weekly open here. So how to navigate this? The thing with the dailies chart here is what it's telling you is that the buyers already lost control. Went outside bar and up, and then on Friday they broke below the pivot low there, the prior day's low, and possibly come back down again through the range. So the buyers don't have a lot of strength here in EM, and we do have a lot of Chinese ADRs reporting this next week. So it'll be interesting to see how companies like JD and Baba, how they report, and what happens to EM from there. Because EM right now, as we can see, it was a green week, but there's potentially more range available for this thing to come to the downside. So on the 3-month chart here, right, we haven't come close yet to taking out the lows of Q1. So there's still more range possible there, but the more compelling pivots that I was talking about have already been taken out. So this inside bar low here, and then this outside bar here, which was taken out quite easily. And yes, I could have taken more profits on that one, but being on vacation, I wasn't in the capacity to manage that trade. So happy to take it off where I did, because then I'm just bouncing back up again to where I would have probably taken profits anyways, which was around here. So that being said, let's move on from EM and let's talk about bonds now, because the bonds are, if you ask me, they look like they're going all-time highs for TLT specifically. I'm not talking about every maturity date, but we're focused specifically on TLT, which is a 20+ year maturity date. So TLT now, if you look at just the monthly chart here for a second, look at that. Outside bar and up on the monthly, that's pure momentum now. So the buyers are stepping up, and if we zip out a bit here, so let's take a look at the 3-month chart. I'll even go to the 12-month chart for you here. Have a lot of yellow lines pointing everywhere, so I'm going to hide those just for a quick second here. There you go. So we're not far now from all-time highs. So back in 2016, we had the all-time highs on TLT there at 143.62. And you get up to 143.06. There's no reason to believe, with the current macro conditions and what the Fed's doing, that we won't see this thing hit all-time highs, because yields look like they're going nowhere but down. So right now, outside bar and up, and we still got plenty of month left for this thing to keep going higher. In order for the momentum to subside, once again, because this is an outside bar and up condition, this low needs to get taken out. And this low cannot get taken out until next month. Not this month, because the month's not over yet. So this thing is still outside bar and up, but the momentum won't fade until next month. September, when we see August low get taken out, unless we have an outside bar here. Unless it goes outside, then that changes the picture completely. But for now, assuming this thing stays above July's lows, then it's going to end as being outside and up, even if it's a red bar. Even if it comes all the way back down here, it'll still be outside and up. Okay, it just won't be as strong of a signal anymore. But there's nothing stopping them to buy it again in September. Now this changes the whole picture changes though if it goes outside bar, and this thing turns into an outside bar, right? So all of a sudden this green thing turns into a big red bar or just some sort of big outside bar. Then that's a completely different signal there. But for now, it's outside bar and up. So very, very strong chart on TLT. Not a bad place to be looking for to buy on deep pullbacks if you have the opportunity. Let's talk about, and just to show you on the TLT here, it's doing a consolidation right now. So the past 2 days, this stuff here, it's just basically an inside bar on the 2-day chart. So how do you resolve that? And let's see if we can break it to the upside. Let's talk about now UKOIL. As oil is, man, the oil names look very, very bad. And this past week and this past month, you know, the actual crude itself is looking like a bit of a dog. So here, red month on UKOIL, and we have a momentum condition now to the downside on the weekly chart. So outside bar and down. Here's the thing with the oil picture on a broader time frame, 3-month chart, it's doing this inside bar reversal. Okay, so this is it's now given up. I'm gonna delete some of these lines here. So let's keep that line for a second because I want to illustrate something. But it went inside bar. I want to delete this line here. I'm gonna take this one off for a second. There we go. It went inside bar and up on the monthly, and now it's coming back to the range. So potential here is for it to take out this pivot low and then go after this outside bar's low. So now coming back through this range here on the monthly chart. Now this is the 3-month chart, so very significant because this is the quarterly chart and is doing a inside bar reversal now on the quarterly chart. So quite the bearish signal there on UKOIL, and it all kicked off because of this signal here, which I talked about. It's been at least a couple weeks now. Here's a scenario: we trapped a bunch of folks right here, right there, outside, inside, and they popped it up, right? They popped it up there, but they did an inside bar reversal on them, right? So we moved this line here because everyone thought it was a breakout, but in fact what ended up happening there is that this line right there, the quarterly open, ended up acting as resistance. It's actually that's the quarterly and monthly open. That turned into resistance. They could not hold above it. It came back in, and then look what here. This is the first 2 sessions of August. Full time from alignment to the downside now. Once it broke down below here, right, and then it just went pow to the downside. Once it broke below that weekly open. So that's a situation here. We did an inside bar reversal, and then for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 2-day bar sessions, so basically 8 trading days, it's done nothing but a momentum move to the downside. Inside bar now consolidating. Let's see how that resolves on Monday. Okay, so let's talk about gold, because gold has been on fire. The flight to safety with all the global risk. Let's talk about XAUUSD. So for gold, if we take a look at the big picture, back to the 3-month chart now, we're going to see that we have a momentum move on gold, right? So outside bar and up on gold, just like what we have with bonds. So TLT and bonds, they both have a quarterly momentum picture. Actually, this is a quarterly picture. The bonds picture was on the monthly chart. So this has got a lot of potential, because if you recall, when I talked about GDXJ previously, the gold miners, is that this thing can potentially move significantly just given the 12-month chart. This is the gold spot price, but if you recall, GDXJ had the inside bar reversal right there on the yearly chart. This is the 12-month chart here. Look, inside bar and down, coming back up. Now it's coming back up to this range, right? So this high here, I believe, came very close to taking out that high, 43.01. high here is, yeah, it did take all that high, 43.10 now it's coming after, boom, 52.50. So, you know, still got a lot of potential upside available there for GDXJ. And that, you know, supports the story of what we see with XAU. So XAU, we now saw the outside bar up condition on the monthly chart. On the quarterly chart, on the monthly chart, it's bright green, right? So it's having a great month so far, and it has momentum from the upside. So there's your weekly chart, outside and up now. In order for the momentum to cease, right, they have to take out a prior low. So last week's low, in order for this move to break down, they got to take out that low. Anything's possible, but let's see when and how they do it. Okay, so for the past 2 days, you have 2 inside daily bars, and that makes a inside bar on the 2-day chart. Is that consolidation, just for buyers to step back up and buy more, or do they finally pull it back down? Even if they pull it back down, until they take out that low there, that there will not be a significant pullback. They have to take out that pivot low on the weekly chart for it to be significant. Even then, the monthly chart's still looking very, very green, so that's going to still be buyable. Now, the 2-day chart, what you're seeing here is momentum as well, right? So outside, up, up, up. Now, we've talked about this, you know, I think it was last week's video, maybe 2 weeks ago. This here was a very choppy chart because we had, as I said before, 1, 2, 3, 4, identified 5 outside bars in this sequence, right? So very tight stuff. Look what happens when it finally resolves. Pure momentum, right? Outside bar and up, and it's gone. Okay, so now people had to chase here, right? Because people who got chopped up in this scenario, there's a lot of folks who did get chopped up because they was making lower lows, right? This low here is lower than all these lows. So had you bought, you know, anywhere in here, and you thought, man, I'm in for the move. It may have stopped you out here. You had to buy it back again, so people had to chase to get back in the move. So do they force them to chase more by pushing it higher, or does it pull back now a bit and again the momentum move begin to weaken if it takes out that low there? Okay, so that pivot low there. Let's talk about digital gold, because Bitcoin had a decent week, but it's still holding inside the range. So not a lot going on, but you really can't complain if you're a Bitcoin person, because it's trading close to, you know, 11,500. And the bigger picture is that it's still inside quarter. Yes, still about 2 months left in the quarter, but still firmly inside quarter. The bears have not been anywhere close to be able to take out the prior quarter's range, right? So sitting in the top quartile of Q2's range. So, you know, still quite bullish there, and we're still inside month. So yes, still early in the month, but still inside the prior month's range. So this is still inside for the time being. This weekly chart, it did go inside weekend up, so it's still green week so far. It is pulling back a bit today on Saturday. So right now you have an inside bar and down condition on Bitcoin. So inside bar and down again on the 2-day chart. This would be an inside bar reversal, so watch out for that potential. If on Sunday or Monday they take out that pivot bar as high right there, or if it breaks down, then the daily chart that doesn't, then that pattern breaks, but then you still have the 2-day chart. So depending on his thing, if it's breaking down now, it's inside bar and down, but the next bar, if it takes out that pivot high, then you're going to go inside bar reversal back to the upside again. So not a lot to do there. You can try to play that, but if you really want to get involved, then look for that consolidation, because on the lower time frame stuff, the 12-hour chart, then it's a little bit choppier, right? So it's 1, 2, you see 3 outside bars there in this tight sequence. It's tight trading in here. You can see how tight that is because you have 3 inside days there. So the ranges are getting very tight, and that's just because you're still trading inside month and inside the prior month's range. So very, very tight stuff there. No harm in not doing anything until you get a really, really clear, clean signal. For now, it's still full time frame alignment to the upside because you're trading above the weekly open, the quarterly open, and the monthly open. So still, the buyers are defending BTCUSD. What about the overall crypto market? So total, what's that look like? Looks nearly identical. So pull that up on the 2-day chart for a quick instant, and we have same condition here. Monthly, inside, weekly, exact same thing. Inside, weekend up. Still a bit of a green week there. This thing here, however, is not trading full time from alignment to the upside, because the last couple days it did break below the quarterly open, but the buyers are still kind of supporting it right now, and we'll need to see for the new week where it trades in relation to the weekly open. But Bitcoin and total looking very, very similar. So that means, the overall crypto market still being dominated by Bitcoin. The alts are not really that much in play yet. Let's look at a few final charts and we'll wrap things up this week. Let's take a look at some longer time frame charts first, and then we'll zoom down to some monthly charts. So the bigger pictures, let's talk about a few of them. Number one, the marijuana stocks are really getting hammered. So this ETF here looking terrible. MJ, right? So the ETF marijuana ETF. Look at this pattern. Inside bar, this is inside bar. It says inside quarter, and now inside quarter and down. So very, looking terrible actually for MJ names, and it's possible that comes back down to take out this pivot low here. So we have CGC reporting. Till reporting this coming week, so let's see how that plays into this overall big picture. Does it keep going down? Looks like it does. So really, really ugly on MJ. Again, Cron did report last week, and it's looking ugly as well. So it actually went to, on the monthly chart, you can see this here, right? So inside bar and down. So this is inside quarter and down now. Here's the issue, right? Look, inside bar and up. See, this is the quarterly bar. Looked really, really good for Cron, right? Took it to 26 or 25 area. Here, when inside bar, that's an issue, right? That means buyers ran out of steam. They just ran out of steam. And the sellers, as soon as they take out that pivot low, that's a problem, because now that's actually an inside bar reversal, a bigger pattern. So inside bar and up, could not take it any higher. Now coming for that pivot low here, low 1025. That's what you need to watch out for on Cron. On Cron, on the monthly chart, this is what it looks like. Here's the issue. Outside, inside, and now down, right? So the earnings did not help them. Look at the earnings here. That's the earnings date. Basically an ugly red bar. It gapped up and they sold it off right away. So that creates a scenario here now where you got outside, inside, and down, and that's a potentially momentum move. And you know what we're talking about, coming back down to the range again, back into this low here. Okay, so January's lows or Q1's lows, 1025. I'm just going to put that line in there just to see to watch it. 1025, because on the monthly chart it puts it way down here. So this huge bar, this great January bar that we had, it's now at risk of getting taken out, right? So they're steadily, slowly chipping away at this huge gain that we had in January for Cron. Another name, let's go big picture. Wayfair had been a real darling stock for a lot of folks. Now getting weak. So here's just the Wayfair, inside quarter and down, right? So now potentially putting this bar at risk. So it got up as high as 173.72, but now coming back through the range. So watch out Wayfair. The issue here is on the, let's say on the weekly chart, we got momentum to the downside. The past several weeks now, outside, down, and if it keeps going, it can come back down to the range. Just like we've been talking before, right? For this thing to alleviate, for the momentum to alleviate, you need to take out a pivot high. So if this pivot high gets taken out, then your momentum has subsided to the downside. However, if they take out this low here, that's really bearish, because this week looked good for the bulls. However, if this low gets taken out, that means the bulls lost complete control and they're coming after this range there. So this would not be a bad short. It's to play this pivot low breakdown there, because that will turn this thing, further red, and then put the rest of this bigger move in play. That quarter here, okay, Q1's range. Something that looks really, really bad, of course, is, we talked about it already, it is oil. So maybe the first one I'll pull up is let's say Devon. They all look bad, so it doesn't really take much. So Devon Energy, so inside bar reversal on the quarterly chart, right? So inside bar up, come back down, looking to take out Q1's range. Just the list goes on and on. You can just type in any oil or gas producer. It looks terrible. Look at the WLL, inside, outside, and down on the quarter, right? So that's momentum to the downside. Rig, another terrible looking chart. Outside, inside, and down. All right, outside, inside, outside, and down now. That's momentum. Look at something like CHK. Where's the bottom on this thing? Looks terrible. Outside bar and down now. Look, it's close to, where are we trading at? We're close to the lows that we had back in 2000. So this chart, where is the lows? And just, to look at the overall sector here, look at OIH, oil services. outside bar and down. So right now, seasonally, not a good time to be playing oil. This is a good place if you want to look for shorts, but again, you're already getting extended. Doesn't mean there won't be more, but be quick to take off your profits if this thing pops back up. But right now, you certainly do not want to be looking for longs. Long, I mean, like, you know, holding on to longs for very long. Some less long-term charts. Let's take a look at the monthly chart for a quick second on a few names, and we'll wrap things up. First off is Baba. Baba's earnings once again on the 15th, which is Thursday. Right now, not looking good for Baba. Outside, inside, and up on the monthly chart, but then they did an inside bar reversal right there. Inside bar reversal, coming back for that low there. So watch out with earnings. If earnings is remotely bad, or you know the news out of Asia keeps getting weak, then pretty much, you know, can be assured that this pivot low and that pivot low will get taken out. So Baba potentially has some good targets there for intraday traders, or if you can buy on a pullback or sell on a pullback to take out these pivot lows. SMH. So semiconductors also looking quite weak. So here's the scenario. Inside bar, I'm going to take out this line there. Inside bar reversal now on the monthly chart, coming back to the range. So they had a nice inside bar pop last month, right? Things look great for tech and semis, but now things got weak. And so if it stays below here, if it breaks back below this prior month's low, then you can come back and take out that low there. So some of the names that you got to watch out for are things like ON. So ON already in play to the downside, right? So inside bar and up, then back down again, taking out all that range. Potentially back down here again. Another one, QRVO. Here, inside bar reversal now, potentially in play once again to take out that pivot low, June's lows for QRVO. Okay, one nice looking name that's doing well right now is Celgene. So Celgene here, very, very tight stuff though, so not, you know, there's more upside potential, but doesn't, you know, the downside looks a lot nicer on some of these names than the upside potential, because here, outside bar and down, Celgene has now taken out July's highs and potentially now going after June's highs. So that's a range that looks like it could go after quite easily. And again, it's just been sliding, you know, going outside bar and up on the weekly chart now. So momentum to the upside, potentially taking out July's high. Not a lot of potential there, because that's only maybe like what, $3-4. But you know, the short-term momentum, not the short-term, but the intermediate momentum, the weekly chart, is to the upside on names like Celgene. So that is a sector that looks decent. One name that is, however, in risk, and this is the last chart I'll show today because we're getting a bit extended now in terms of our time, is Caesar. And this is the warning shot across the bow here. Here is the monthly chart outside and up. Sorry, outside and up last month, right? Looked great for Caesars. Here's the issue now. Now we're coming back and down. Outside bar up and now down, potentially putting Caesars low here of June in play. So watch out, Caesars holders. That could be a potentially very good short here if we can find ourselves going back through the range, because look at this big gap that we had. Okay, so there's your big gap, but now hasn't done much with that gap, has it? It did an inside, outside, outside. Now you have an outside bar and down condition on the weekly, potentially looking for that gap for coming back through the range again. So that's your issue there with Caesars. So I hope this weekly market outlook served you well. Once again, if you're looking for me to add any more names to the review list, be sure to share them with me in the comment section or on the blog. As always, I would appreciate it if you would give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our videos so we can find other traders in our community who will find this helpful. And as always, hope you have a great trading week and happy trading. Take care.